I am sitting here with 3 Division legends in their own way. All 3 of them from 3 different areas of the community, and all 3 of them with 3 different inputs. Now, I'm going to let them go ahead and explain who they are and whatnot, give you some background, but let me first tell you how I was introduced to them. So, below me on this weird Discord chat, we have Lieutenant Buzz Lightyear. Now, how I met this guy years ago. I was actually still in the Air Force, and this guy was live streaming on Twitch, and he was actually one of the reasons I even got into the game. I was actually a Destiny player, helping people through Trials of the Nine and all that bullshit, and people on my squadron were like, yo, why aren't you playing The Division? The Division. And I remember seeing it in E3 years ago and kind of forgot about it, where Destiny was right there in my face, open world, looter shooter, all that, and it was really fun. But then The Division, my buddy picks it up and says, yo, you should watch some of these live streams. This game's amazing. And sure as shit, who'd I watch? Lieutenant Buzz Lightyear. And he had like some funky looking glasses on, some sort of hat. I was like, all right, well, I'll watch this guy shred it up. And it was fun. The interaction was fun. The community was fun. And I got hooked. And I've never looked back. Now, that was my first introduction to Lieutenant Buzz Lightyear. The funky glasses. And well, I guess over the years, we became friends, which was cool. And I guess you kind of get that whenever you're in a community and, I don't know, everyone's there for the same passion. So moving on from Buzz, from what I see from Buzz, it's typically survival, PvE, PvP, a little bit of everything. A little bit of Dark Zone, a little bit of everything. I like it. A little bit of sprinkle. Now, when we go to Kong, the gentleman that's right next to me over here in this Discord bullshit, Kong is not Mr. PvE. Nah. This guy is Mr. PvP. And that's why he's here. This guy is the voice, in my opinion, currently for the Division 2 PvP. Now, obviously, we have some other individuals that PvP just as much. But in my opinion, as far as the community and being a legitimate voice, we have Kong. Dude, you're killing me with these chats. So the way I met Kong, Kong actually was streaming as well, but I found out he was playing on all platforms. And I thought that was the coolest thing. He was the first person I knew personally that was playing on all platforms. And actually, to rewind a little bit, each of these people have made me do something different in my community or my YouTube career or whatever as a content creator. For example, Buzz is the reason why I do all 4K videos. Buzz somehow, I don't remember, but he was like something about rendering 4K and how long it took. And I was like, dude, your videos look so damn good. And sure as shit, I don't know, I somehow caught the bug, and now every single video I do takes twice as long to render because I'm making them all 4K. So that's a little hat over there to Buzz, which made me better. But Kong made me better in more ways than one. Kong pushed me to make different characters on different platforms. Now I have a Shade level 2000 on PlayStation. I've got Shade level 1500 on PC and 8500 whatever on Xbox. And that's because of Kong. I was watching his streams and I'd play with him on Xbox, but he'd be like, oh, I'm going to go play on PlayStation with my guys over there. Oh, I'm going to go over here and play PC. And I was like, yo, holy shit. There are different parts of this community that I'm not playing with, I'm not representing, and I could be doing both and having fun with all of that. And the cool thing about that, and I tip my hat to Kong with this, is it keeps it fresh. It keeps it fresh forever. You can never be bored, even if you're just a strictly PvP guy like Kong, because he could do PvP on Xbox Monday, Wednesday, Friday, do PlayStation Tuesday, Thursday, and then do PC on Saturday and Sunday. And it would never be, it would always be the same sort of PvP. Yeah, I give you that. but it would always be with different people, different names, what have you. And that was really a good thing that pushed me there, because I think that kind of like propelled me into a different area where I could talk to more people and be more open-minded with the community. And dude, Kong is one of the most community, like, he doesn't give a fuck, man. And it is the coolest things. Like, just to give you a little story about Kong, 2 years ago on my birthday, which my birthday's coming up, by the way. And 2 years ago on my birthday, I do a birthday stream, and I run into this fucking guy in the Dark Zone. And he got the entire Dark Zone to dress up like my character for my birthday. The entire Dark Zone. His team all dressed up like my guy, all the other teams, and we were all fighting dressed up like my guy. And it was one of the coolest things, and I still have it on my live streams from 2 years ago. It was by far one of the best experiences I've had with this community. And that involves Kong. Kong is always honest. What me and Kong both share is we're both Air Force veterans from different parts. And, you know, we both have our own different stories, what have you. So we're connected in more ways than one. It's really cool. Really cool, indeed. So Kong's here for the PvP, just straight nonsense. Buzz is here. He's one of the OG creators, PvE and PvP alike. And then we have, in the bottom right, Splinter Shield, who actually got me, like, really hooked to the story and hunters. So to give you my background on Splinter Shield, by the way, he has a weapon in the game named after him, the Shield Splinterer. That's named after this guy. So he's been a pivotal part of this community from day one. Like, these are all legit people in the community. Everyone knows who Lieutenant Buzz Lightyear is. Everyone knows who Kong Style is. And everyone knows the Hunter. Everybody knows that. When you look up pictures of the Hunter, when you look up cosplayers, they are all mimicking this guy, because this guy is the first. He is the guy that went over there and put his Hunter flag in the ground and said, "I'm the Hunter," and everyone and their moms at the in the franchise and the community was like, "Yeah, this guy's it. He's the Hunter." So much so that you can see photo ops of him over there at their studios in Sweden. And dude, the streams, the soundboards and the axes and the mask, it started a whole freaking, like, wave trend. I've seen so many Hunter cosplayers now, and it makes me so happy. And the funniest thing is because of that and survival and the whole immersion with this franchise and the Hunters, that's how I kind of morphed my whole branding, or whatever the fuck you want to call it, into, you know, this little dead Georgie Hunter-looking dude with his yellow coat and his skull mask. And that was my version of being a hunter. I've always done that. I've loved the hunters from the underground, where they would just surprise you, and survival. Shit's crazy. The way that they were introduced into Division 2 was good, but it kind of dropped off after Woney. Hey, thank you there. Thank you, Matt. Thank you. All right. So those are going to be my intros on that. Now what we're going to do is we're going to have each person just give you their 2 cents, and then we're going to jump into this conversation. Sorry for the long intro, but our whole meaning of doing this is to add context and background, to not only let you know why we have the opinions that we have, why we have the views that we have, but they're also validated and backed up with evidence and experience. All right, so boom. So I'll cut that, whatever, and then we'll go on to the next person. Whatever you want, dude. I'm here for you.
Well, thank you, Kami. And by the way, those were not sunglasses. Those were actually Gunner gaming glasses back when that was a thing. But yeah, those were the olden days when I used to stream the Division. So for everyone out there, much like Kami, I found The Division through that E3 trailer that really hooked me on the game. I was a Division 1 agent day one on PlayStation 4, believe it or not, dropped into NYC. That was ages ago. Definitely spent about 1,500, 2,000 hours on the PS4, and then I switched over to PC, spent another 1,500-ish hours on PC in Div 1. Before Div 2 came out, attended some events in there for Ubisoft, some preview events, did a PvP event. I used to PvP, not so much anymore, but yeah, DZ with the D3 gear set was always a blast. Those were some fun streams. Of course, Survival will always hold a very special place in my heart, and I still drop in and play that from time to time. Division 2 didn't quite pull all the heartstrings that Division 1 did. I probably have like 1,500 to 1,800 hours in Div 2 on PC alone. But yeah, started off, actually began pretty much my YouTube career doing weapon reviews on a little laptop, recording with all these cables and this Elgato device of some kind, and I would pull footage off of the TV, save it on the laptop, do these little 5 to 8 minute weapon reviews for the Division, and that's kind of how I guess I kind of made my career through there. Met a lot of really cool people, of course, present company included, and stuck with it. Tend to be a little opinionated from time to time. Try to keep it balanced and throw my own 2 cents into the ring when I can. But definitely, yeah, it's definitely cool to be here. Thanks for the invite.
Well, I mean, it's not bad to be known for having constructive criticism, and that's what you're known for. You're not known for trashing just to trash. You're not known for it. It all has logic behind it, and that's the whole. As long as there's substance and there's some sort of solution that could be made, you're right there. So, D3, man, I still can't get over that damn D3. All right.
That was the set too. And then, and as probably as of recently, as of about the last year and a half, I diversified my YouTube channel. I branched out, covered different games, tutorials, and things like that for Starfield, Outriders. I chased down and hounded the Day Before devs. We know how that kind of turned out. Recently, my passion's been Helldivers, but still dropping in. In fact, Splinter and I logged some time very recently on the new season, so I'm still getting in Div 2, just kind of off screen is what I'm doing. But yeah, that's me.
I got you, brother. All right, Kong Style, our PvP liaison.
All right. Well, appreciate you having me here, Kami. Welcome everyone else as well. I mean, for me, I feel like I'm the underdog when it comes to all of this here, especially on the content creating side. I think I did everything backwards. I was a live streamer first, and then, started getting to, content creating itself and, making the videos for TikTok, YouTube, whatever the case is. For me, I've always been a gamer. And that's what got me into the streaming. I had a few friends that were very adamant about it. They're like, you're really good at it. People want to see what you're doing, so on and so forth. You're funny. Why not stream it? And I was like, no, who wants to watch me play a game? Like, that makes no sense. It took them 3 months of talking to me to get me into streaming. And then I finally started. When I started doing it, I was actually on Mixer first. And then went from Mixer after they shut down, and then I went to Twitch. And then this is actually my 4-year anniversary being on Twitch.
Hey,
smart. So it's pretty exciting. But as far as when it comes to Division itself, I'm just like everybody else. I saw the E3 trailer. I saw people being able to help me out when I'm getting beat up, and using an iPad to control a drone, and how the holographics of looking at the map and looking at the weapons and just the whole dynamic. But of course, that one key moment that sold me as a PvP player is when your own teammate turns on you and shoots his own guys to take their gear. I was like, oh, that's me.
Yeah,
to do that.
Yeah.
So
Dude.
That was the pivotal moment that I was like, you know what? I don't care whatever else I'm playing, Call of Duty, whatever, it doesn't matter. I'm playing Division. And so I've been day one, Div 1, day one, Div 2, through and through, ever since.
It's like,
For me,
I just got the big Alejandro to drop. What? Agent has left the group and gone rogue. Oh, crap.
you learn real quickly when to actually announce, what you have, especially getting a house. The house was always that key one that, hey, I just got a house. Wait, you did? You need it? And then, now you're fighting your own people. It was just part of the fun with it as well. So, me, when it came to Div, as most people know, I'm not big on the PvE side. For me, I like that unpredictable fighting, not predictable fighting. And now I get that PvE can, have some turns and twists, and you can definitely up the difficulty and you can do all of that. But it's still that, that Terminator type feeling. I'm fighting a computer versus fighting an actual person, a human being, where I don't know what that person is going to think. That person is going to make a mistake. The AI, the computer, they don't make mistakes. They're aimbot. They're going to shoot you. They're going to hit you if they want to. You could do certain things to throw some wrenches into their programming, but I can't do that with the player. With the player, I have to outsmart that person. I have to outwit them. I have to change my builds to counter that person and what they're doing. And that's where Div 1 came in fantastic when it came to the PvP side, because everything in the game you could counter in some way, shape, or form. There might have been a few things here and there you really couldn't counter, but Div 1, they did fantastic when it came to the countering.
The chicken dancing.
Honestly, I really wasn't that big on it in Div 1. I didn't like it over there because it's too boxy and choppy. So when I play Div 1, you don't really see me do it too much. I can do it, but that's also how we break controllers.
Yeah, that's true.
Survival. The survival was good. That was a real nice change. In all reality, if anyone really, really thinks about it, Division kind of was the first battle royale.
Yeah.
That's where it really comes down to it. But I do feel like they dropped the ball. They could have did a lot more with it and going from there. I was the last stand player. I wasn't in the DZ. I was playing Last Stand. Absolutely love Last Stand. I think it was a fantastic game mode. Actually, for almost a year and a half, I ran an event where every Thursday we did Throwback Thursday.
Yeah.
And it was literally us, whoever wanted to play on Xbox, we would meet up and play Last Stand, and we would get probably about a good 3 to 4 hours of just straight back-to-back games. You'd have at least 3-4 lobbies going, and it was fantastic.
They still try to do it. They still try to do it nowadays.
Still doing it, which is fantastic. I know that when I was there, I can help promote it. If I say, hey, we're going to do this Thursday, they'll have an amazing Thursday. But there's other content out there. I wanted to kind of break away from it, and I kind of passed the reins off to the other guys. They're kind of pretty much there with me the whole time. Got to meet a lot of new people there and things like that. And it was refreshing to go back to where it all started. But then, of course, we transitioned into Div 2, and, we see the game has changed from the movement, which I enjoy the movement in Div 2 way better than Div 1. The PvP aspect is massive. It's absolutely massive. But the saying is you've got to PvE to PvP. So I did everything. Whatever it takes to PvP, I'm going to go do it. I'm going to get my guns. I'm going to get the gear. I'm going to get whatever I need to do. And then I'm going to grind out and go to PvP. Because I want to fight that unpredictable, and at the same time too, I do like to talk a little bit of trash talk, how you were saying. So
just a little jargon.
Well, yeah, just a little bit, But I mean, of course, it's respectful, and it's always, at the end of the day, it's always GGs. It's never, never trying to be into us DMs and things like that. That's not my style.
Not at all.
But ultimately, I mean, for me and my view and everything, it's always been about the PvP. What can we do with the PvP? And I feel that, we came to Div 2, we've definitely been slacking on that department a lot. So it's really come down to a lot of us, content creators and streamers in general that keep the PvP kind of alive. I mean, if we're in a server, those servers are usually popping. and everyone's trying to get into that server to stream snipe us and whatever the case is.
Oh yeah.
But ultimately, it's just a matter of just having fun and whatever they throw at us, we trying to make the best, figure out what's the meta, and then go out there and use it. And then for someone like me, I always try to use something other and counter the meta, making weird builds, and then ultimately being there for those people that are new, that don't understand how to make builds, which is crazy to me because the builds now currently are way easier to make than when Div 2 first came out. But it's so much more complicated then.
Yeah, very, very simplified now.
Yeah, it's very, very simplified. But ultimately, I mean, I just love the game. I did step away for a little bit. I did go play Tarkov, where I learned how to really do mouse and keyboard. I was gone for about a year and a half. I still was playing Div, here and there, but it was very, very far few between. I was, really invested into Tarkov, which I was definitely challenged. So I completely understand, the wiping of a character and then having to start all over again. I completely understand that aspect. But I know that we're definitely going to get into that a little bit later.
Oh yeah.
Save that for then.
Very, very soon.
But other than that, love Div. I'm going to always be there. I'm looking forward to whatever they possibly have coming up in the future. Hopefully it doesn't break the game.
Yeah. Dude, with PvP, with me personally, survival PvP, that's the only type of survival I've ever played, period. Every game has always been PvP. Except for, I think, our survival run that we did to spawn all of those hunters. I think we did that in PvE. Now, the other part of PvP was the Dark Zone in Div 1. It was unmatched, that big Dark Zone, and they even extended it. It was unmatched. You could have manhunts, you could have farmers, you could have people doing contaminated events, you could have other people doing rogues, you could have 1v1s, all in the exact same server at the exact same time. It was huge with a lot of players. Last Stand was the best PvP game mode that they've had next to survival PvP, but a lot of people did play survival PvE, so I guess survival's a little bit better. But with Last Stand, you had 8v8 PvP, again, unmatched. You could have people that would just straight up PvP. You could have people that were taking points over, and you could have people that would PvE to give the whole team points for the multipliers. You had everything in that one PvP mode, and none of that is in the Division 2. In fact, we have 3 split up Dark Zones with very little player numbers, and it's just 3 teams per Dark Zone. And guess what? They're probably all at the same checkpoint or safe house. It's very boring, in my opinion, and I resort to just getting my PvP kicks in conflict. And it's sad, but dude, I probably have 8,000 games played in conflict on Xbox, just Xbox. And then PlayStation, I probably have another 1,000 games played. And then on PC, probably another 500 games played. Like, I play conflict every day, and I like the PvP, and I do really agree with you with the movement, where the chicken dancing and the hip firing was fun. You remember Like Butter in Division 1? He would chicken dance and just hip fire people with the MP7 and just knock them all out. And they took that out of the game instantly. Not only could you not chicken dance, but hey, you're not going to be able to hip fire either. And it completely changed that part of the PvP. So I do understand that part, and we're going to get into some PvP more, because the whole state of PvP, like, they announced a PvP ETF 2 years ago, I think, and we have not seen not one big PvP push at all. Not one. Nothing. Not even a mention. All right. So our last person, Mr. Splinter Shield himself. How you doing, man?
Hey, doing good. It's good to be here. I'm Matt Shield. What?
Everyone's interesting. You'll be trying single season.
Okay. I've been in the Division community from the beginning. I had an agent cosplay back in 2015, me and another member of the community, Keelan Grace, had this huge mega thread up on the rpf.com. And I ended up getting invited out to Massive Studios for this event they had before the launch. And so I called us the first 15 because there was 15 of us. They invited from all over the world. We got to play like 4 hours of The Division 4 months before it launched. And they picked our brains for all kinds of feedback. And that was pretty awesome. My face is in Division 1 on missing posters. My name is in Division 2 on the Shield Splinter gun, which you get after doing this whole hunter quest.
That's right.
Which, let's see, it was 2 weeks after they dropped the teaser trailer for Survival that I was like, I don't know what that guy is at the end of that trailer, but I am going to cosplay him.
Oh, yeah.
He is badass. And so it was pretty consistent work for about 5 months to do that first Hunter cosplay. I've been refining it. A lot of different
5
photo
months.
ops we've done.
Holy.
Is that? Yeah, 5 months. And there's still a couple revisions I'm going to do to it and do one more kind of photo shoot with it.
Right.
I got some cool ideas. And I was able to be there for the reveal of Division 2 at E3, one of the last E3s.
Yeah.
But that was awesome to be there with my fellow cosplayers, agents, and a hunter, doing all kinds of fun pictures. And yeah, I love this game. Ever since that 2013 trailer dropped, I was just like, the immersion I saw in there, I was just like, I am gonna play the shit out of this game. And I have loved it. Ever since after Survival dropped and I premiered my cosplay, I also wrote up what I called the Hunter Theory and put it up on Reddit like years back. And with this last season, I felt so redeemed because basically my Hunter Theory was proven correct. It's something I wrote years ago. I was like, I was right. But yeah, I love this game. After that 2018 E3, we had a bunch of survival tournaments, which were so awesome. I've tried to do more tournaments since, but just I haven't been able to get enough players. If I'm going to do a tournament,
right,
I want to have at least 20 players in there, and haven't been able to generate enough interest. For years I did Survival Saturday streams, and those kind of went to like once a month, and I kind of fell off on those. I've started to bring those back. I still love Survival. Just, it's an amazing experience.
Now,
Your PvP
my question
as well
for you with the Division 1, how do you feel about the global events? Because my thing, and everyone can pipe up here, is
about how
it looks as if when they coded the global events, they coded it in a way to end on a specific date. And when it ended, they never added to it. And now what it's looking like, because that was a year ago, it seems like? I think the global events have been inactive for almost a year.
Ended, I believe, at the end of 2023.
Right. Okay. So it's been what, 6 months of no global events or anything, and it's been the same PSA from them. Hey, we're looking into it. We'll give you an update when we have something. And it's like, come on, you can't just turn the lights back on over there at the Division 1. Like, you can't just turn the global events back on. Like, it's been 6 months.
I haven't thought about that. Because, yeah, we want to say, like, oh, come on. And you just, somebody just do a little programming and it goes back in.
Right.
It's rarely as simple as we think it is. I don't want to be like the apologist, but what I suspect, whoever was doing that in the past, that they moved on to some other job,
Right.
and now they're like, oh wait, how do we do that?
So, oh, dude, like
That person,
maybe they lost access.
and they,
Oh man.
well, not necessarily lost access, but it's like whoever has to do it has, they're like, oh gosh, I have to go in there, and they have to.
Oh, that was John's job. Yeah, John retired. Yeah, John's not here anymore.
Or like, John's over at he's over at EA.
John's over there at Star Wars now. He's a director. He doesn't do this anymore.
Yeah,
Vision. I got Disney money now.
it's either, to my mind, it's either something like that where somebody moved on and they're like, yeah, so we need to get somebody in this, but in order for them to get up to speed, they have to spend hours sorting through code,
Right.
experimenting before they figure out the right way to do it. Or my fear is that, yeah, they're just kind of like, yeah, it's time to start maybe shutting Division 1 down.
Oh man.
There's so many of us that are just going to riot.
Yeah. Because survival, bro. That's.
Yeah.
I completely agree with Kong about Last Stand and Skirmish and all that. It is fun, and that big dark zone, it is fun. But my whole thing is years and years later, like, just give us Last Stand. You could easily give us Last Stand. And here's how. Easily. All right? We have Kinley College. There's 3 different areas. You could easily make each 3 of those areas a Last Stand map. It's so easy to do that. And that would be 3 different maps of Last Stand on rotation. There's your new game mode. How you doing? See you later. And it'd be that simple. But I don't know. I'm all about recycling the sources you have in different ways. Like, they were going to do the Resident Evil thing in Kinley College. And I've been having, like, I told them to do conflict maps from those Kinley College sources years ago. I was like, how easy would that be to make that a conflict map? And even more so, you can make the entire section of each of those locations a Last Stand map, because they're big enough for that. They're all double leveled. They all have multiple rooms. It just seemed like a home run in my eyes, but obviously it's so much easier to think of these things than it is to apply them. But I am sorry that I cut you off, Matt. So whatever, I know we were talking about survival, but I kind of just want to tangent.
I don't think there's much more to add. I'm an OG fan. I'm a cosplayer. I tried to be a writer too. I wrote this whole little novel about like a survival experience called Beyond Survival.
Right.
And I love this game. I love this community. And
Booyah.
Talk a little bit about what's happening.
So, all of that, to sum up, we have all of these different parts of the community. We have casual players, and we have diehard players. We have people from day one, and we have people that, well, actually, we're all day one, pretty much. We're all day one. I didn't catch the open beta for the first game. I was day one to the game, but not to the beta for the game.
Loser.
Yeah, I know. I was playing Destiny. I was stupid. All right. So I'll cut that part. That's our whole intro. I'm sorry for that to be so long. I know that we have about an hour before Kong gets out of here, but doing all that, shooting the shit and all of that, that was perfect, because the rest of it's going to go pretty fucking quick. All right. So our next thing, we're all going to be piping up. My whole thing with people doing roundtables like this is I don't want everyone to stay muted when someone's talking, because even if you have like a snicker, or even if you have like a, oh yeah, or something like that, it might, change the trajectory of the conversation. I feel like it's very like robot and flat when everyone's just like, blah, 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 mute. And then everyone's just like silent. And then it's like, oh, and then he says, blah, 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 mute. You see what I'm saying? So I think it's a lot more organic. Anyways. So moving on, our first plan of attack before we talk about Seasons 2.0 is why. Why do we even need Seasons 2.0? And anyone can start here. I mean, obviously, yes, there we go, right out the gate. All right, we don't need seasons. Okay, well, explain, man. What would we have instead?
We don't need Season 2.0. I mean, hands down, this is not me coming from a PvP standpoint. This is me looking outside, looking in. I feel as if that they were trying to revive the game to try to figure out a way to, one, entice new players, and maybe, rub the backs of some veteran players.
Right.
But they're doing it wrong. 100%, majority of the stuff that we have coming out to the game right now is coming out the wrong time. If you wanted to do this should have been something that, A, when Seasons got introduced, that happened then. B, should have happened with Warlords of New York. We're at end game. I mean, no, everyone can admit the Division 2 is on live support. When you look at the servers, look at the server numbers, your player count numbers, we're nowhere near where we were, when the game first started. We're nowhere near where the game was, 4 years ago, 3 years ago, last week even. When the stuff got announced, we're nowhere near the same player count number, right? In my opinion, I still can say till today, Xbox has the highest player count, followed by PlayStation, then PC. PC, it's very hit or miss the time of day that you play and or the region in order for you to have people to...
I can vouch for that.
Like a full lobby.
That's where it comes down, and that's me looking at a PvP standpoint where, we can all admit the PvE community, takes over Div 2. The PvP community is very, very small. But in my opinion, I feel like the PvP community is what really keeps the game alive.
Yes.
It's so much different.
Yes.
Div 1 had the right formula. If you want the best gear, you want the best guns, you want the best everything, endgame is in the Dark Zone. That's why it's so massive.
Exactly.
The Dark Zone took up almost more than the map, than the open world.
Yeah.
And that's how it should have been. But here
right in the middle.
Yeah, right in the middle. You would either have to go all the way down and around the map. If you wanted to go the other side, obviously we could fast travel. But thinking if you couldn't fast travel, you've got to cut through the Dark Zone.
Yeah.
Right? Take a shortcut. And now you're in there, you're fighting for your life. So hands down, we do not need Season 2.0. We are not Diablo. We are not a game that wipes, i.e. like Tarkov. Right? Tarkov from the beginning, it wipes. But guess what? There's a difference with Tarkov. There's a high risk, high reward in there. Division would be completely different if when I'm in the Dark Zone and I'm fighting somebody and they kill me, I lose that build. I now have to go back to Outdown or Summit or wherever and farm up my build, farm up my guns, and put my build back together to then go back and fight. The game would be massively different. But it's not that type of extraction shooter. The VR is completely different.
The Dark Zone doesn't even have a presence anymore, man. In Division 1, when I first started doing build videos and shit, you can look, 90% of my build videos were all Dark Zone builds. At least 90%. Because I was in the Dark Zone every single day. Every day. And all of my builds would be Dark Zone builds because that's where the end game was, like Kong was saying.
If you were a Division streamer,
that's where you would be.
You were in the Dark Zone.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
You were either in survival or you were in the Dark Zone. And guess what? Last Stand, almost all of those maps are in the Dark Zone. I'm pretty sure all of them, right? It's just, it's all centered around the Dark Zone. Where now, we've had them tell us for years, look, guys, it's PvE centered. It's PvE centered. We're looking for new players. We want them to play PvE. We want to give them all these different game modes. if you like those old game modes, go back to Div 1 and go play those game modes. And it's like, come on, man, where that was the bread and butter for the game, because all of us would be in the dark zone every day or in survival every day. And then you brought up Resistance, and then we had Underground. Underground was the shit. I remember farming that for that Banshee jacket. I believe it was called Blind Eye, something like that. Like, right?
Called it first.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dude, it was sick with the diamond stitching.
Fresh.
It was game over, man. And none of that.
Banshee was Underground.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
It was Blind at first and then became Banshee.
Right.
Yep.
But my whole point on that is the end game for Division 1, it all somehow centered around the Dark Zone, because the Dark Zone, just like the Hunters, are now a part of the DNA of the franchise. And they completely moved away from that in the Division 2. So much so, like I was saying earlier, I play Conflict. Like, I'll go into the Dark Zone, I'll get my exotics. You know, if I see Kong, you know, is playing and I have time, hell yeah, I'll go PvP with Kong. Hell yeah, it's always good times. But as far as me just sitting in the Dark Zone, just like, hey guys, shoot me in the back, it's not fun. There is no contaminated events going on. You have a supply drop where you're going to get the same people trying to farm for it. It's just not fun at all. And they drop the ball on that completely, because the Division 1 with PvP, that's where you had your player base. Every day there was people in the Dark Zone, and it was full every day. And it's just
the biggest thing
gone.
Though, is that when you really look at it, the big difference between Div 1 PvP and Div 2 is that there is no fear. I was scared shitless to go in the Dark Zone in Div 1. I was scared. I was scared as hell. I went in the very first time. I remember I'm like looking around, like, all right, this doesn't look too bad. I see one guy. I try to emote. I'm like, hey, what's up? And then he shoots me. I shoot back. I'm like, oh, okay, this is cool. And then I die. I go back out. I go back in the checkpoint. I try to come back out, and then I'm getting farmed into the door with a shotgun. I'm like, all right, who the hell wants to do this? I'm not going out there. Fuck that. So I left. I came back. I think it was 1.3 where they had Seeker Mines. I'm like, yeah, I got this Seeker Mine build is pretty strong. I wonder what it'll do to a player. I'm like, let's go see. I remember going in there the very first time. I saw the same scenario. Someone was off in the distance, so I flagged up Rogue, and I threw my Seeker Mine, and I watched it track him down and blow him up. I was like, oh, game time, let's go. So I was literally that person that was just in there dropping Seeker Mines, blowing everybody the hell up.
hell yeah.
We had the one-shot sticky. I literally, I'm not gonna lie to you, I was the guy that would camp at Extraction.
Tanktician, bro.
I was literally waiting, and as soon as I see them go to that rope, and they would make the mistake, every once in a while, there'll be all four of them go and put their stuff on the rope at the same time, sticky bomb, boom, and now I have all this gear to go ahead and take for myself. That was it. Like, I loved it, but then of course, started venturing out and going from there, and it was so fun. It was that fear that was there. You had that in Div 1. In Div 2, I have PvE players coming in there talking shit to me, like, you're wearing purples. What do you mean?
Okay.
He's a me.
Okay. All right. Now we're going a little too crazy.
Go back to the checkpoint.
Okay. All right. Hold on. Purple boys and randoms. Okay. Move.
See, you guys are blasting off on these other topics and everything. I mean, yeah.
So
Khan was, he answered your question
right
straight off the bat. You don't need Seasons 2.0, but the reason that they're there is, if you think about it, what's easier to put into the game? New content, new maps, new modes, a completely new environment?
Right.
Probably not, right? So what are they going to do? They're going to just completely flip the script on its head and come in with something that we've never had ever since 2016, a seasonal character.
Right.
They're going to take our mains that we farmed out of this equation, and
so
it's going to start over with these new characters.
Before the seasonal character, before that, right? So talking about seasons right now, okay? I understand we don't need Seasons 2.0. I think my question is why, so we understand they delayed the DLC twice, right? So we were already supposed to be in the DLC right now, which means, in theory, we would be in Seasons 2.0 already. And they pushed all of that. They keep pushing it to, I guess, tweak it or, butter it up, whatever. Now, my point is with that is that cutscene for the end of year 5 with Kelso jumping in the van, or Keener jumping in the van with Kelso, all that was supposed to be our lead into the DLC. So this season right now is the worst it has ever been, in my opinion, when it comes to these seasons. And as far as just looking at it right now, I understand, you keep delaying the DLC, so you have to stretch this rubber band. You have to stretch it. But eventually it's going to either break or snap back. And this season is that point where I was doing the, quote unquote manhunts. It's lazy to me. Just lazy to me, to where you have it say Vanguard Trials, you have it say Keener Trials, but then when I open up the map, it says manhunts. It's not a fucking manhunt. Let's be real. It's not a fucking manhunt. We're not doing manhunts. But they keep these terms there because it's laziness to even change it. And then the people are like, oh, it's just another manhunt. Oh, it's just another this. And it's not, but it's still titled the same. And then everyone's like, oh, well, I look at it, it's just another manhunt. Yeah, cool. I'm at 6%. And they could have even buttered it up even more and been like, hey guys, it's the Keener Trials. You're fighting your way to build up his, you're trying to prove yourself to Keener, which is another stupid fucking idea. Why? Sorry if I'm wheezing. I always have an upper respiratory thing. So why would we have to prove ourselves to Keener? Can anyone fucking answer that? What are we proving ourselves to? We killed his entire operation. We supposedly killed him. Then after we supposedly killed him, we took out his entire rogue operation, including Schaefer and all his other, allies, to the point where we're like big dog on campus and we have to yet prove ourselves to him. What?
It doesn't fit the story.
It was bad. And then a part of this Keener trial, none of it is a trial. It's a legit copy and paste of the same shit with a 1-second audio clip added to the end of a completion. So you can join anybody, complete whatever it is, get that little bitty 1-second audio clip, and you've experienced the entire manhunt. It is so bad to where we're doing, what was it? Kong's already done the manhunt. I saw him on stream the other day. Part of it is District Union Arena. And you're doing District Union Arena, and it's just a legit stronghold for no reason. Nothing's changed. It's just, all right, I guess Keener wants us to do District Union to prove ourselves. And then after you do District Union, which is the exact same stronghold I've done 50 million fucking times, at the end of it, Anna says, good job, agent, or some shit, and then that was it. And it's like, what? Why am I doing this? There's nothing. And then I go back to the other manhunts. The rescue manhunt, quote unquote, was so laughable because they didn't even spend the time to add the NPC we were rescuing into the mission. It was just, we were just doing the mission, and then it just says, hey, you rescued him. Go to the castle settlement and talk to him. And it's like, what? We didn't open a door.
You couldn't even like open the bin there. Like, okay, we'll send somebody over there to escort them.
We can't interact and cut a rope that was like holding them, or like there couldn't be an audio file. It just said, good job, agent, go to the castle. And then I strictly remember Buzz, every single fucking manhunt would go, hey guys, so the castle's bugged. And then I'm like, what? And he's like, yeah, I did the manhunt, and what do I do? Because there were no indicators on what to do with the manhunt. And again,
It was terrible.
it wasn't even a manhunt. At that point, it was rescue operations, which they still titled as manhunts. So again, I just think if you're going to keep changing the same exact thing, at least add a little bit into it. And am I the only person here that is sick of the Black Tusk? I understand that it was the whole invaded thing, and I understand the tidal basin thing, but they have been every enemy for everything. Coney Island, Camp White Oak, the Pentagon, fucking Raid. What, like,
know that we're not done with them yet.
And now we're going to team up with Keener and go up against them some more. It's just the exact same thing over and over and over and over. It's on repeat. And I'm understanding, like, everyone's like, oh, I just see Manhunt. Oh, it's Black Tusk. Like, and, you know, yeah, cool. DARPA dogs, Wally bots, and drones. Got it. Cool. Like, I'll bring a jammer pulse. You bring an EMP sticky. Let's knock it out. It's just,
I have a few thoughts that I want to share here.
Yeah, man.
And it's basically, I agree with Kong that we don't really need Seasons 2.0. And I think the whole reason that we're getting this and the seasonal characters and everything is basically because they have had to delay the DLC for whatever reason. To my mind, the thing that makes most sense to me is they're pushing the DLC more for scheduling reasons, for like the Ubisoft release schedule. I hope that's not the only reason. I hope that they are spiffing it up even more. But I in my mind, I'm thinking they're probably just delaying it for release schedule reasons.
Either that, or it had a lot of ties to Heartland, and as soon as they canceled Heartland, they had to go back and alter the DLC.
That could be. They're having to change some, re-record some stuff and edit some things. Sure. And
I'm so salty over it.
We have this gap. We have this gap that they're having to fill, and this is just kind of like the quickest, easiest way they had to fill it. And I'm like, okay, I understand. Like, and there's so much of what we're dealing with the current state of the game that I think stems from that, and their short-sightedness with the release of Division 2, where they're like, okay, well, this was originally going to be the end of our content release, which was because when Division 2 launched, even with the high sales it had, it wasn't high enough, and Ubisoft, it was like, oh, it's an unprofitable game, and so we're going to cut short all this stuff we originally planned, and just Woney will be the end of it. And they're like, oh crap, Woney sold really well. And so then they had this 1.5 year gap where they were building the team back up and having to generate the content again. And so, we're at this state now where we're like, oh gosh, okay, so they're doing this Season 2.0, and we're having to wait longer for the DLC, and the community is just fatigued as fuck.
Yep.
And it's, and I'm sorry, it's just they're reaping the what they've sown. They're reaping what they've sown.
My quick theory on that, or my quick idea on that, and then we'll start to transition into Ubisoft Forward. Is the sole focus of Division 2, all right, is not the same as Division 1. We've already established the whole PvP focus. And the biggest viewerships, the biggest streamers, the biggest content creators, all of their biggest names, all of their biggest brand pushers, whatever you want to call them, for the Division 1, they were all playing PvP. All of them. Every single one. All the big names. I'm not going to sit here and just list off all the big names, but they were all playing PvP. Every single one. We can't deny that. And everything that they would do in the end game was either to promote more PvP or to promote the new hunters. And that was amazing. We had hunters in Underground. We had hunters in Survival. We had PvP in Survival. We had PvP in Last Stand. We had PvE in Resistance with hunters. And like Kong was saying, we PvE to PvP. It was all together. And now, here's my theory, is Division 2 has thrown all their cards into PvE because, hey guys, PvE, everyone and their mom can just jump in and play PvE. And look, oh, you want a pink backpack? Sure, here's a pink backpack. Oh, you want a polka dot scarf? Here's a polka dot scarf. Oh, you want a tactical outfit? Sure, here's a tactical outfit. Oh, you want some Easter eggs? All right, here's a Sam Fisher outfit. Ooh, give me that money. Give me that money. So then they're like, okay, well, how can we capitalize on PvE and outfits? Well, we could just come up with more PvE game modes and come up with more outfits. So now we get these stupid fucking outfits every few weeks for them to peddle more money, peddle more money, peddle more money. And all we have gotten are PvE game modes. We have gotten Countdown, which, okay, yes, we played that with Yannick whenever it first came out on the PTS. We all had fun. We did the questionnaire with him. He actually listened to us. He added more difficulties. And okay, cool. Yeah. Countdown is, I guess, I guess we have to go back even further. We had Summit. Summit was a shit show. It was PvE only, and the hunters were only at floor 100. If you thought about it for 2 seconds, you would put a hunter at every 10th floor and then have the group of hunters at floor 100. Duh. It doesn't take a rocket scientist to add a few more hunters and make everybody happy. But instead, they waited for all the way up to floor 100, and everyone's like, yo, I don't want to do copy and paste 100 times just to see some hunters that are super overpowered that will one-hit me. It fell flat. The targeted loot was a good idea, sure. So they took the good idea, targeted loot, and then they shoved it into Countdown, and now we're at Countdown. That was a way better idea than Summit. And they added hunters. Oh, weird. Cha-ching, check mark, slam dunk, whatever the fuck you want to call it. You got your PvE mode with hunters. Got it. Boom. Now, you satisfy the PvP people. Duh. You just gave them another targeted loot PvE game mode with hunters, which is a slam dunk, hole in one, touchdown. Got it. Boom. PvP. The PvP people have been yelling for fucking years. PvP. PvP. PvP's broken. What about the wall glitching? What about the cheaters? What about the spawn camping? What about this? What about bigger servers? What about a bigger DZ? What about Last Stand? PvP people have been saying this for years. And dude, I could make a montage.
I just harken back to something real quick.
Yeah.
We mentioned Like Butter earlier, and I just want to recall to your memories that clip of Like Butter live streaming the state of the game when they were talking.
Yeah.
I think it was Drew Rinaldi was talking about, oh yeah, we looked into increasing the server, the player count on these smaller DZs. It just turned into too much of a PvP brawl fest. And he's like, that's literally exactly what we want. Yes. For that? Yes.
Yep.
Yeah. If there was any one change I would make to the PvP, to the Dark Zones in Division 2, I'd just say, okay, please, instead of 12 player, just make it at least 16 player. Add 4 more players in there. At least make it 16 players per Dark Zone. And
Right.
I think
Just add another team.
make it so much funner.
Yeah.
At least, yes.
So my point on that was, instead of then satisfying the PvP people, right? So Countdown happens, and then they announce the ETF, and then they announce not only the ETF, hey, wink, wink, Kong style, they announce a PvP ETF. And it's like, yo, fucking finally. I think I even hit you up in the DMs and gave you like an in-air high five. I was like, fuck yeah, let's go. And nothing came up of it. What came up of it was more apparel events and Descent. So here's my final thing on this, and then we're going to start talking about Ubisoft Forward, or let you guys talk. I'm sorry I go on these rants. So Descent, right? Descent was supposed to be this thing that you could sit in there for, I guess, hours, unlimited amount of time, and go as far as you want to go up the leaderboards. They even came out with a trailer showing leaderboards. And then they said, hey, there's going to be all these rewards, do all this. And they made it so hard, so incredibly hard, that the average person will not play Descent at all. I know so many people, when I say, hey guys, I just got my 53rd Descent comm, they're like, there's Descent comms? And then the next question is, there's 53 Descent comms? I don't even play Descent. I don't even go to the Nemesis. And then I'm like, yeah, man, I got all the blueprints. They're like, from what? I'm like, Descent. They're like, oh, I don't even play that. So my point is instead of satisfying the PvP community with, well, I don't know, maybe a Wony Dark Zone? I don't know. Maybe. Just throwing that out there. Just maybe give them a fucking Wony Dark Zone to satisfy that Div 1 craving. Give us a New York Dark Zone that's different from Div, just a little bit different from the first game. And instead they gave us Descent, in which PvP people hate, obviously, because it's PvE, and the PvE people hate because it's too hard. So instead of giving us a slam dunk for the community, which they've been asking for years, PvP, they keep throwing their chips into PvE, and they're losing every time. And the PvP people are suffering, saying, what the fuck, man? You keep satisfying these PvE people, and they don't even like it. But they like the outfits. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, can I hop in here too about this as well?
Yeah.
Because remember, Descent originally was an experiment for the Division in how much could we push the player power fantasy.
Right.
We were able to stack those talents over and over and over again, and it was a real fun experiment with the way the game, basically it took the Division, that power delta, and it unshackled it, and it gave us the freedom to run around with 12 Allegros stacked up onto a weapon or something like that. It was really a lot of fun. And then somewhere in there they decided this is not what we want Descent to be. I'm saying the developers. And it instantly became, okay, we're going to turn this into a sweat fest. Okay, we're gonna limit what you can have and when you can have it, and we're gonna pull back on how much armor you can stack. We're gonna pull back on how much you can have of this powerful talent over here and talent over there. I mean, we were all there when it first came out. Remember?
Yeah.
Trying it out in the PTS, it was like, holy crap, this is a lot of fun, And then
All red, full commitment.
Yeah, but you're running around with a shotgun going crazy, and then you got, electrified floors and, gas vapors igniting over here and there. But you knew that, hey, I'm going to get, I'm going to have an exotic talent, incessant chatter or something. And it made it all worth it. And then they started scaling back on it. And it was like, why? That was the allure of Descent, was to see what a Division character could actually be like if you took all of those chains off of them and just let them, basically flex their full might. And man, I really dug Descent when it first came out, and then they just completely cranked back on all of that player power fantasy, and I gave up on it. I'm like, I mean, I know that the comms are there, Kami, but I'm one of the people that doesn't play Descent.
Yeah.
Like, I have not engaged with Descent in months and months and months, and it's because of that. I mean, if I want to get sweaty, I'll go do a legendary.
No, I agree with you.
So,
all right. So, any last minute things on the current status of the game before we get into this UB Forward thing?
no.
I might be a little bit of an apologist because of course, Massive has to follow the directives that Ubisoft hands down.
Right.
And of course, Ubisoft wants to make money. And so if Massive is giving them the reports and Ubisoft's like, oh, well, do more of this stuff where where they're going to buy more outfits and do more microtransactions.
Survival 2.0.
They've got to do what Ubisoft tells them to do. But yeah, I feel like for a lot of the development of both Division 1 and 2, they've been a little too much at the mercy of Ubisoft's whims.
Here's my thing on that.
And the community's really suffered.
The easiest way to fix that, man. You remember the rumors with Heartland where they said Heartland was going to be a battle royale like style thing with a storm. I believe they said it was like called Storm or some crap. Anyways, my whole thing on that was
many things about that.
I remember, I'm just going off of public reports. So I remember that they were talking about this thing called Storm, that it would be this PvE, PvP type of battle royale thing with this storm that was steadily closing in, last man standing type of deal. My thought on that was the second I heard that they changed that, because remember, Tom Henderson probably a year later came out with an article that said they changed Storm, they changed it to exhibitions or some shit, and instead of doing a battle royale, now it's going to be a night and day type of deal. And then we ended up seeing that in the trailer and all the stuff that they were pushing. My thought is whenever they did away with that game mode or whatever, it kind of sounded in a way a weird survival 2.0, if you will. Because like Kong was saying earlier, whether people like to admit it or not, survival, when it came out, that was like the first battle royale looter shooter. I mean, what else? Like, you started with nothing, right? It was a survival, looter shooter extraction game mode, PvE, PvP. It checked every single box. It was perfect. So you could have easily, whenever Heartland did away with whatever they were doing, you could have easily said, okay, Survival 2.0, put it in Division 2, give people the opportunity to either do PvE only, PvP only, just like the first game. It was a blast in the first game. It has a cult following. Like you said, we would do Survival Sundays, Survival Saturdays, and it just would have kept the train rolling. It would have then made PvP people happy because it's like, hey, you don't have to do the Dark Zone. You don't have to do Conflict. You could come over here and do this because it's also PvP. But instead, we got Descent and whatever. All right. So, Ubisoft Forward. Let's knock out the good stuff here. So, this is we'll do the first part, the one in game. Okay. So just really quick, they did away with world tiers. They did away with gear score. They made it to where you can level up 0 to 40 in DC. You don't even have to go to New York anymore. And if you do have Warlords of New York, you could start a new character. You can send them straight to Warlords of New York. And then as soon as you get to the Haven, you can fast travel back to DC and just level up in DC. It's a nice way to get people to max without having to give away their DLC. I get it. It's obviously broken so many things.
Separate player base.
Yep, and they're not separating that. And wouldn't this kind of kill the serve? I'm sure they have certain servers that would be level 30 only, right? So now they can do away with that. I'm pretty sure.
I see where you're going, yeah.
So all of that...
And you forgot to mention that it also gives all these players that want to try to abuse the God-rolled crafting bench another reason to get banned.
Dude, no one... All right. For... the elephant in the room, just so everyone's well aware, this is like the 8th crafting bench bug that they've had, and it is the worst of the bugs, but they've had several bugs.
Yeah.
Okay, so here's the one in-game thing that they said at Ubisoft Forward. And then I'll open up the floor, and then we'll move on to Seasons 2.0 because everyone's waiting for that. So they said the Division 2 in-game offers a wealth of content providing hundreds of hours of gameplay. Okay. Acknowledging that some players do not have access to this content, we're excited that in year 6, we'll be making this accessible to everybody. Basically, if you want the Season Pass, now you can buy the Season Pass. Hey, you don't need Warlords of New York to give us more money. And it says that with the start of year 6, Season 1, all players can go to level 40 without owning Warlords of New York. And now they can do things like incursions, seasons, that's where the money is, manhunts, which is where the money is, countdown, and raids. You were already able to do level 30 raids, but whatever. So that's why I was saying maybe this is to cut away some of the servers that they had for level 30 only to give room for the new seasonal servers that I'm excited to talk about, because that's another shit show that I can't wait for us to talk about. Okay, so thoughts on this. So they're giving everyone the opportunity to be level 40.
Yeah, it's I don't know if we can add much more to it.
Yes? All right.
Yeah, I think they want money on servers. Don't separate the player base by because I feel like with Division 1, I think they learned a lot of lessons because the paid DLCs, Survival and Last Stand and
Underground were all closed. Yeah,
they were all paid DLCs, and it kind of separated the player base to some extent. And that
and then Resistance was a home run for them. Yeah, no, I agree with you. I agree with you. So we can all agree.
We can add much more to that.
We can all agree this is good, right?
Oh yeah, I mean it's definitely good to bring more players into the fold and not to segregate them out. Did they buy Woney? Did they not buy Woney? But if you take the 30,000-foot view of this is a administrative onboarding exercise,
right?
Okay. And when we're trying to bring more players into the fold is what they're saying. So this is nothing to do with you, me, Kong, Splinter, 2,000, 3,000, 10,000 hour players. This is for the people that are kind of stuck out there and they're maybe devoting a couple hours a week to the division. This is to bring them into the fold, and hopefully I'm just kind of reading between the lines here. They're trying to engage these players more and get them into that matchmaking system for that PvE, possibly into the Dark Zone, who knows. But this is definitely for the casual onboarding, bringing new players into the fold, i.e. even, we've got that free weekend going right now. But hey, you can buy the game afterwards and all of your progress transfers over. So this is all about new players trying to extend the life of the Division 2 to try to get it over to the finish line eventually when the Division 3 launches, which is, who knows, 3, 4, 5 years from now.
No, I completely agree. So, and the timing on it was perfect. They just had a Ubisoft stream yesterday, and they were promoting that not only can you level up all the way to 40 on all platforms without Warlords of New York, but you could do that right now for free, because right now it's free on all platforms. And then it's like, well, that's kind of a home run. That's good. So not only can everyone enjoy all of the in-game, but it's free right now, so you could jump on PlayStation, Xbox, PC, what have you, Stream Deck, and then level all the way up. So, I mean, it's good all the way around. All right. Gosh, here's the good part. Everyone, here we go. So Seasons 2.0. And then, I mean, this is really the last big thing, the big chapter of this conversation. So this is what they released, and then we'll open up the floor. Like we already established, Kong said we don't need Seasons 2.0. Yeah. All right, here we go. So season...
Say it's just kind of that the whole reason for it is basically to be a stopgap between now and the DLC.
Right. Yes. Well, no. The current season is that filler, right? So the season.
No, but I mean, the whole reason for like they have to have something new, something to freshen up the game between now and when the DLC drops. I think that, and something flashy for Ubisoft.
You're talking year 6, season 2.
Yeah,
and seasons 2.0.
Yes.
Right.
Yes. Which is
the DLC ready to go. I think they just go into it and they wouldn't have bothered revamping to Seasons 2.0. That's what I'm saying.
Do we all think Seasons 2.0 would have already been live by now if we had the DLC?
No,
I
don't think so.
No.
Okay. All right.
I also don't think that they should have did year 6, season 1, and it's still normal. And then the second part of the season, that then bringing out this new change, you should have did it right now.
Agreed. And if you saw their timeline, they somehow they're putting the DLC in between seasons 2 and 3 in their timeline. And I've been under the assumption this entire time that the DLC would start year 7. So it's unsure when this DLC is being launched. I don't know if it's going to be at the start of season 3 or if it's going to be in between seasons 2 and 3. But they did bump it up the roadmap, and it does show that it indicates between October and February that we're going to get the DLC. Now, the release for Seasons 2.0, this is where everyone and their mom lost their shit, because during Ubisoft Forward, just right off the bat, let's talk about how odd this was. So the devs tell us they're going to be at Ubisoft Forward. They say this publicly. They tell everyone, hey guys, we're going to be at Ubisoft Forward. A couple months ago, they say publicly that we are not doing a Division Day, but we're going to do something big instead. And everyone's like, okay, what's as big as Division Day? Because Division Day last year was pretty fucking big, in my opinion, because we had Resurgence, Heartland, and Division 2. And then now we have Division 2. I guess we still have Resurgence. That's quiet now. And we're going to get a Division 3. So it's very confusing. But the way that they did Ubisoft Forward was to keep us watching Ubisoft Forward. And it kind of sucked as a viewer, because the way that they did it and the way that they promoted this was, hey guys, we're going to be at Ubisoft Forward. Check us out. We got this thing going on. And it's like, okay, cool. And then they're like, all right, guys, we're going to be in the pre-show. And it's like, say what? Like, you went from like a main event person to like, now you're like an opening act? What the fuck is this? So they're like, all right. Don't worry, guys. Don't worry. We're going to be in the pre-show and the post-show. And right off the bat, I'm smacking my forehead. I'm like, why would you do this to a so-called legacy pillar? Didn't they call the Division franchise a pillar of Ubisoft? It was like Assassin's Creed.
Treated like the redheaded stepchild.
Yeah.
Like one of their 4 or 5 pillars, right? And one of those financial
Right. Yes.
pillars of their success.
Right. But so the indie games, I timed it out the other day. The indie games got more time than the Division 2. And the Division Resurgence didn't even get mentioned. The Division 3 didn't even get mentioned. Julian Garrity's on stage talking about Star Wars, which looked good in my opinion. I know there's always going to be haters one way or another, but that Star Wars game looks good. I'm going to play it, obviously. But there was no, he wasn't even, dude, obviously, no offense, Julian, but if I was Julian Garrity, I would have went out there and at least had like a little like Division 3 pin on like my lapel or something, you know, like just like a little hint, something. But there's just nothing, you know,
something for us to notice and be like, oh, I see that pin.
Like, hey, it's actually happening. I mean, I don't even get me started on the fucking Division movie. Oh my God, dude. Okay, so pre-show, post-show, it just kind of, it fell flat for me as an audience member and as a person that loves this franchise and covers it. I was just like, dude, you waited for the very last minute of the pre-show and then you give us like 45 seconds or some shit. And then you say, hey, stay tuned at the post-show. And then we have to wait like an hour plus. And then they're the last thing for the post-show. And it's like, dude, come on. Like, as an audience member, you just made me sit there and watch miserably. I'm not going to lie. I mean, I'm not looking forward to every single title at Ubisoft Forward. And I had to watch the entire event, get pumped up. Hey, guys, pre-show, let's go. And then it's the very last thing in the pre-show. And I'm like, all right, okay, well, Division is the biggest title in the pre-show. Whatever. And then we watch the show. There's no mentions of Division or anything at all. We go to the post-show. We get a refresher on Assassin's Creed, which we just saw the showcase for, which was odd. And then we got another thing on Star Wars, and then a thing on Division. And it was like, bro, come on. Like, you made us wait through that on purpose. Don't tell me that wasn't
Not right.
It was horrible. Horrible. And the optic.
Give us some of the spotlight. Give us some of the showcase.
And
Stop pushing us to the side all the time. You know, it just feels like we're always getting pushed to the side.
so Seasons 2.0, and I'm going to read this, and then we're going to go through this quick, because I know we got things we got to do. So they say, okay, I'm going to fast forward. However, after 4 years, we believe that the current model is ready to evolve to meet our community's growing needs and expectations. We have gained valuable insights into what works and what doesn't work. And with each new and with each new season, it has been a bit harder to bring novelty and surprises. This is a direct quote from the devs. To prepare for the game's future, we needed to reevaluate the season model, update it, and equip ourselves with the right tools to make each season truly unique. You guys can jump in at any time, because I'm reading this and I'm rolling my fucking eyes.
All right, listen, I'm a lore hound. I love, I will play Descent just to get those comms, just because I want that lore. I'm a lore hound. Okay. And so one of the things I will give Division 2 over Division 1 is we have gotten a lot more story progression with Division 2 than we ever got with Division 1.
For sure. Yes.
Okay.
For sure.
But I have talked to so many friends and other players that are like, oh yeah, I know the new season's coming out, so I went and I quickly finished the season tonight before the new season starts. I was like, really? You didn't? And they're like, I don't care. I don't care about that story. Like, it's all these manhunts are the same. It's just the recycled content. I don't care. And I feel that. I'm like, okay, I like the story, but I do feel what they're saying. So he's like, yeah, it's time to evolve. I was like, bro, yeah, you probably could have done that after year 1 or year 2 if you really wanted to be engaged. But if we're talking about Ubisoft Forward and how we keep getting pushed to the side, and I feel like you guys are being about as engaged or maybe as about as engaged as they can be, as Ubisoft is letting them be. They're not spending a ton of time. And they're just like, yeah, keep pumping out the stuff for the microtransactions. and
Here's the
do the manhunts to keep people engaged enough to care.
Here's the fun part. So it says Seasons 2.0 will offer an exciting mix of gameplay elements, new story, and rewards, all presented in a fresh way that allows you to have a greater surprise. Ooh. Now, right off the bat, and I'm going to have Kong jump in here because I know he's got to go soon. So, PvP-wise, right? So I'm reading through this. It says each season is meant to be experienced from level 1, featuring a fully revamped and accelerated process. I mean, they're just talking about how they're going to add some modifiers. So we'll talk about that here in a second. This whole accelerated progression, I'm just assuming it's just going to be XP. All right, we're going to let you level up faster. Okay, cool. But none of this is yelling at me anything new at all. So I'm going to get Kong to talk about this. Is as a PvP person, right? So you and me both know this very well. There's two things. You got Dark Zone, you got Conflict. It's really it. And as a PvP player with Seasons 2.0, right? So their whole point is that they want everyone to experience the seasons in a new, revamped, refreshed way and style. But now you have to start all over, what have you. As a PvP person, none of this has PvP on it. None of it. Right. So as a PvP person, how would you even, is there going to be a seasonal character server for Conflict? I mean, obviously we'll have our own seasonal character, Dark Zone, I would guess. So, So we're going to level up and then Dark Zone and just our... would that refresh PvP? In do you remember Rogue 29? Does everyone remember Rogue 29?
Well, I remember that.
Would this make a Rogue 29?
I mean, I see where you're going with it. But the thing about it is speaking for the PvP community itself, nobody wants to do that.
Right.
That we've all been here doing this for how long now? Making how many builds, putting how many materials and countless hours doing PvE, which most PvP players don't want to do anyways, but we have to do it.
Right.
So we do it. We've got our levels. I'm already level 26 expertise. I've already done the season. I've already done the manhunt. I did everything I need to do on the PvE side, so there's no reason I need to go to the light side. I'm going to the Dark Zone.
Right.
I'm going to go get beat up. That's my goal. So now I have to do a season. Okay, cool. This is where I'm going to get the new gear. I'm going to get new guns, whatever, that I can't see for a while. Sure. But I'm going to grind all of this, and then still you want me to go grind out Countdown or whatever to make builds, and then grind out expertise or whatever again in a shorter time frame, to then go and hopefully fight somebody in the D.
Well, yeah, because you would have to. That's right. Okay, so we're going to fast forward a little bit with Seasons 2.0.
Earlier, you PvE in order to PvP.
Well,
right, Colin?
We're going to get a little bit
you can do this PvE thing, but if it's going to take longer because you're starting from the bottom, then it has there's no appeal there for a PvP player.
Exactly.
Literally, I'm doing everything over again from the very beginning. And even if it's, okay, you know what, I'm going to grind out hard, get to level 40, get myself a little build, and then go see if there's something going on in the Dark Zone. Who else is going to actually be there with me?
Right.
I'm going to be sitting in there by myself.
My example...
especially for me, I can do this fast. I got to do this full time. So I can get there in a day, maybe 2 days, maybe. Who knows? We don't know what this exactly is going to look like. I can get there fast. So I'm going to be over there sitting there waiting for content for God knows when that person's actually going to show up, the next person. And if I do beat them up and that person leaves, now I'm sitting there by myself. There's nothing there for me.
Here's my PvP concerns. So right off the bat, my questions about PvP is, A, if I have a seasonal character with its own seasonal stash and its own seasonal server, and I have to start over at level 1 for that season, that means I cannot PvP. Because in my opinion, for me personally, I think of, I'm the only exception, and I'll explain why. So in my first thought is Dark Zone, I want an armor region build right off the rip. Give me an armor region build, I'm good. What? So now I have to farm a double region Emperor's Guard again, just for my seasonal character, just because of my seasonal server with my own seasonal stash. You see what I'm getting at? Like, I can't even, I would be taking so much time just to farm that. But like I said, I'm one of the only exceptions. I farmed Descent until my eyes bled. So I have all of the blueprints in the game. So luckily for me, I can go into the seasonal character, immediately craft my god build. And, like Kong said, I would then have to work on expertise, which would then suck even harder because all of my characters have expertise upgraded items and builds. And then you're telling me for my seasonal character, if I want to go into the Dark Zone, I would then have to make a separate build, max it out, expertise upgraded, even if I have those items on my other character fully maxed out. So if I had a Kingbreaker expertise 26 and I wanted to put it on my seasonal character, I can't. I can craft one, but then I would have to max it out and expertise upgraded again. People hate expertise upgrades. So now you're going to force me to do it again? Fuck you, bro. You see what I'm getting at?
And here's one of the big things to think about this as well. So let's say, you know what? All complaining aside, I'm going to go do this, right? I've got my main characters, 4 of them already, by the way. But now I have a 5th character. So I'm going to go out there. I'm grinding all of this. I get me another Eagle Bearer somehow, some way. I get me another Kingbreaker or whatever. I get all the guns I need from us, and I actually throw expertise, and I'm actually throwing exotics into these guns and all that stuff there, right? When it's all said and done, and then I'm supposed to move stuff over to my other character, I don't need these. And you break them down. Is it going to give me back exotics and those materials that put into this?
Nope.
Right? That's something that needs to be...
That's a whole other problem.
I'm not saying give me everything, right? I get that. There's got to be some risk reward in there. If I'm going to do this, okay, cool. But if I break that thing down, give me something...
25%. 50%. Okay.
Give me 50%.
Yeah, 50%.
50% of my shit back.
Yeah.
Especially exotics.
Yes.
I get it. They've lowered the cost down a lot, which is fantastic. W move. What it costs to really, pump your exotics and do it to expertise something. But no, it's way too much. Exotics are a high commodity. I'm in the middle of PvPing. If I see an exotic drop on the ground, I'm grabbing that and going straight to an extraction.
Yeah.
Fuck who I'm fighting. That's literally what happens every single time. I don't have that many exotics because I'm not a PvEer. I think I have 27 on my main account, exotic components. And I'll use that instantly if I'm going to go and level something up. So if I see an exotic drop, I'm going straight to extraction.
So my number one thing right there with Seasons 2.0 is you're shitting on the PvP community again. That's what my overall thing, just right off the bat, if I put my PvP hat on, I'm like, all right, I'm not going to farm another Dark Zone build just so I could do that on my seasonal character. I would just wait until that climax mission bullshit and then just put it all on my main guy and then just use builds that way. But then that prevents me from doing build videos for 3 out of the 4 months for the manhunt because it's all locked on my stupid seasonal character. So then I'm going to have to do seasonal build videos and then normal build videos. And not only that, but then think about conflict. So like I keep saying, there's only 2 things to fucking do in PvP for Division 2, and that's conflict and Dark Zone. So if I'm not going to do a Dark Zone build for my seasonal character because it costs too much materials and it's just too much to do on a separate character, separate stash when I have all that on my main guy, then I talk about conflict. Conflict's going to be empty. Because then you're going to have conflict servers that are all just seasonal characters. Conflict servers are already hard to get into on PC. PlayStation and Xbox, like Kong says, it's pretty damn loaded. But then you have to add another aspect where they're going to separate people again into a seasonal server. So that kills PvP just dead on arrival. I don't know where you could go with that. Like, you can't test the new gear in PvP because it's going to be locked behind the seasonal person. There's nothing for PvP. Like this, every single time I talk about Seasons 2.0, I do a poll or something, it's 80 to 85% negative. And when I break it down, I understand why I do. Because it doesn't look like these things were thought out for these parts of the community. So my last thing with PvP, and then I think we're going to just have Kong jump out of here. He's got to go. So my last thing with PvP, man, how would you incorporate PvP into every season? I'll give you a few of my examples, and then I'll just leave you the floor. That way you can say what you got to say and go. How I would do it is just like the Division 1 with leaderboards and rewards that you would get from those leaderboards. So in Division 1, whenever you would go into a Dark Zone checkpoint, they added leaderboards, challenges, and rewards. So you could go over there and you could be like, yo, Kong killed 10,000 rogues this week? Dude, he killed 50,000 rogues this month? What? And then you get rewarded because at the end of every one of those events, they have those tier systems, tier 1, tier 2, tier 3, whatever, and then you get rewarded. You could have exclusive rewards or whatever. Why is that not in the Division 1 or in the Division 2? It blows my mind. You could have conflict leaderboards, both weekly and monthly. Oh, Kong jumped into, team elimination, and he completed 500 rounds of team elimination with no losses. What, is he cheating? This guy's killing it. And the point is then you could brag to everybody, because we all love to brag in PvP, trust me. Every time I jump on PlayStation, another little creator is trying to make a video on me. And it's just everywhere with PvP. It's all about bragging, trying to make the other guy look bad, trying to make you look good. And I think leaderboards and challenges and things like that is a number one way of doing that. And then you could incorporate clans. But anyways, from Kong, what would you do? How would you incorporate PvP into the seasons, man? What would you do?
I mean, you hit one of the big things on the head. Having leaderboards or something like that with rewards would be fantastic. But on the same time, too, if you want to introduce something when it comes to the seasons, why not throw PvP modifiers out there? This week, you can't use spotter. Spotter builds doesn't work, or everybody is pulse resistant 100%. So spotter builds don't work. Or throwing out something to where status effects don't work. Some type of modifier changes up the complete way that we would play the game. That, maybe I'm not a status user, but now I have to be a status user because now I do increase damage using this, or everything is nerfed. And maybe not necessarily modifiers where it increases something already, too much, but it nerfs something.
Right.
It doesn't work.
Oh, dude.
If one, we had it to where when you went into Last Stand, your either got brought up to a certain point or it got brought down to a certain point. Have those modifiers in there. Or ultimately, the number one thing is, guess what? No matter what you're doing on the season side or whatnot, if you go in the Dark Zone, you have no expertise. Shade level doesn't matter in there. Everybody's the same playing field. And that would promote someone like myself saying, hey, you know what? I'm going to go over there. We can go fight over there and it'll be even. It's then about skill, not because my build is better than yours. If you go in there, your build is automatically maxed out all the way to the right with all your attributes, everything like that. You don't have to worry about farming something because you got a weak piece of gear, right? So it's being brought up just like it does in Last Stand, but you don't have to worry about expertise numbers, all that stuff. All the expertise stuff and all that or whatever is only for the PvE side. It's just straight raw PvP, us doing what we do in there. Easy. That's the easiest way I would fix it.
Another thing, you could make the Thieves' Den a weekly wandering vendor, and once you complete a project or something, it unlocks the Thieves' Den every week. Like, I do not understand why they took the Thieves' Den out of the game, except for it did give you PvP exclusive named items right out the rip, which was nice. But the Thieves' Den was a great way, and the Grey Rogue system was a great way of incorporating people into PvP, and they just completely took that out. Like they've taken out how.
Chew off. I've got to go right now. I got to.
Hey.
It's starting.
Thank you, Kong. Hey, I appreciate it, man.
Thank you, guys.
Hey,
Hey, good having you, man.
all right.
See you later.
And Kong is out of here. All right. I knew he had to go. I'm sorry. We've been yabbering. But those were ways of trying to get PvP on board. But like I keep saying,
I liked his ideas.
yeah, that modifier is a great idea. Yeah,
Ever. Not even in Division 1 in the Dark Zone.
that would have been a sick idea. Like almost like targeted loot. Like every day, there's 3 different modifiers and the 3 different DZs. That'd be so cool. So the other part that I was worried about, so we're going to move away from PvP because we are all under the, we all know that Division 2 is PvE, like, focus. So my next part, my next part that I see is getting hit really hard is the hardcore community. So
Yes.
here's another part that I don't think was fully thought out, and I'll let you guys talk about this. I personally do have a hardcore character, and I've had a hardcore character on every platform, and I've gone through all the way to level 40, got the watch level, all that, and it's fun. It's a whole new immersion. I really do like hardcore mode. I've been a huge fan ever since it came out. However, they never touched it since it came out. Hardcore mode came out in year 1. It came out just before Warlords dropped. And the rewards for hardcore stopped at the raid, the first raid. So even with Warlords of New York, they never added rewards for that. And they never touched it since. However, in the last 6 months, they've done the most altering to hardcore they've ever done. And what they did is they separated the stashes for normal and hardcore. So now, if I have a hardcore character, I have a dedicated stash to that hardcore character. So I can fill up the stash all the way to 150. I could die, delete my character, make a new character, level all the way up to 40, get my watch levels back, and I'll still have my stash. And it's a cool little thing for you to keep your thing, keep your items, whatever. Cool. Now, what I'm getting at here is I know multiple clans that are only hardcore. I know multiple players that have shade level 10,000, shade level 20,000 hardcore characters. I know husband and wives that have hardcore characters. I know father and son duos that have hardcore characters. I know people that do legendary content on hardcore characters. What I'm getting at here is they have done all of the new content. They have done everything, including the incursion, on hardcore. They've done everything on hardcore. Seasons 2.0 will restrict that, and they will never be able to play new content again because it's on a separate server and it's not hardcore. Yeah. So,
Daggone.
do you see what I'm getting at here?
That's so trash. Yeah.
So, so what I'm getting at here is when they're making a new character, okay, I don't think you can have more than one seasonal character. From what they keep telling us, they keep saying it in every whatever, it is a new character added. It will be a 5th slot. It will be a seasonal slot. That tells me that when you open up the game, it's not a, hey, let's start a new character. It's a, if I keep scrolling down my characters, I'm going to have a 5th character that's a seasonal character. That's going to be a fixated character on a fixated server with a fixated stash, strictly for seasonal content. That's what they're saying. So I don't think I can toggle that to hardcore. You see? And if I can't toggle that to hardcore, that means I can't transfer it over to my hardcore character because my hardcore stash is separate than my normal stash. So if my hardcore, or if my seasonal character is only normal, not hardcore, that means all of that seasonal XP, all of the seasonal items, everything can only be done on normal and will only transfer over to normal. So that means if I have a dedicated hardcore character, I then cannot play any of the new shit on my character, and all of the new shit I do play on my seasonal character will not transfer over to my main hardcore character.
Yeah, excellent question. Yeah, I don't think I've read over everything that Ubisoft has published. I've watched all of their promotional videos on year 6. I haven't seen anything about hardcore.
Right. So,
I mean, you would think in theory it would be possible. I mean, if a seasonal character is on a separate server, then adding on that option for a hardcore seasonal would also be a thing, right? It's just a simple...
But that would be its own server, right?
Well, I mean, you're going to be on your own server anyway with your seasonal character, right? So,
well, what I was getting at earlier...
Modifier for hardcore.
Yes. Yeah. No. Well, what I was getting at earlier is that they were probably trying to save server space from the level 30 people to have seasonal space. But the only way to make that work is if they give you an option to start a seasonal character, because then you could say hardcore or not, hopefully. But if it just says new character, hardcore character, seasonal character, then that means it will not be in hardcore. You see what I mean? So I highly doubt they did that, man. And that scares me because I know a big portion that plays daily, and they all play on hardcore and they play daily and they are very dedicated. And if they find out that they cannot play any of the new content and they can't transfer it over because it's on your hardcore character, that's going to kill the community hard. Yeah.
Well, I mean, I'm listening to you, Kami. Technically, they could play. They could play just on a standard seasonal character account. But what you're saying is it kind of goes against, their mantra of only hardcore. And then at the end of the season...
Oh, gotcha. So at the end of the climax mission, that's when they open it up. Right. So
I mean, technically, I guess they could go play it on their hardcore character, but also what you're saying,
they just have to wait.
Is let's say that the season kicks off, they create a standard seasonal character, not a hardcore. Let's say it isn't an option. Okay, they create a standard seasonal character at the end of the season. When it's time for all of that gear and expertise and everything to transfer over, I don't think it would transfer over to a hardcore character account.
Right. No, it wouldn't.
Yeah. No. Because you need to match it hardcore to hardcore.
Exactly.
Normal to normal. In theory, I would think you could do it because if you're creating a seasonal character, that's on a separate server, right? So all you have to do at that point, I'm speaking of like Massive or Ubisoft, is add on that extra layer of giving the option of a hardcore. It's still just one server.
Right.
It isn't like it's multiple servers. You're just opting into, I want a seasonal hardcore character. So at the end, it would transfer over. I would think they could do it, but I haven't read or seen any of the presentations on anything to do with hardcore. I mean, we've seen really nothing. We've seen nothing on hardcore. We've seen nothing on PvP. We don't know anything about their, their climax or I'm pretty sure we're probably going to talk about it soon, like that new difficulty. I mean, like none of this has been explained. It's just been mentioned. You know what I mean? So there's a lot of particulars like that one. Yeah, that's a big issue. Yeah.
and this is kind of part of the a major part of the issue is that they just kind of came in, mentioned a bunch of stuff, and that's all we got.
Walked out pieces.
And it's like, okay, you can do that if you mention a bunch of stuff and then you say, and check out, our YouTube channel. We've just dropped a bunch of videos going much more into depth about it. It's like, okay, I get if they only have like a minute on stage for Ubisoft Forward or something, but please, explain all the things. If you're going to drop it, because that's kind of, to my mind, what the turmoil that is in the community right now is because they dropped a little bit of little crumbs for us, and we're like, whoa, wait, what does this mean? What about that? What is it?
Yep.
How is this going to affect us? And everyone's just it's on fire. But we're like, we need to know all the things.
Like, I know this isn't on the same scale, but imagine that the CS:GO devs came in and all of a sudden, just out of the blue, came in and said, all right, 2 months from now, CS:GO is going strictly PvE. More details to come.
Oh my gosh.
I just walked out. Why don't you just pull the grenade pin and just throw it into the room and walk out? That's essentially what happened. And that's essentially what happened also with the Division 2 switching over to these seasonal characters for this content. They walked in, they lit the fire. There was tons of gasoline there. They lit the fire and they just walked out. And it's like, everyone's just left out here just charred.
Whoa.
What about this?
Back up.
So, here's the... So, talked about PvP, talked about hardcore. Hold on.
Mm-hmm.
Me double check. Okay. So
Notes.
the next part, I'm still reading the devs thing. So they talked about modifiers, gameplay modifiers.
Mm-hmm.
They said that they are going to be adding in a seasonal modifier. Right off the bat, my first thought is Division 1 global events. Okay, where in Division 1 global events, you had your modifier. However, it was in different stages, if I remember correctly, and you also had an active modifier for all gameplay while that event was live.
Correct.
That's what I hear when I hear we're going to have a seasonal modifier. That's what I hear in the back of my head. Is like, oh, so that could be like an active modifier the entire time. That could be really cool. A lot of people were getting confused on that one. I think that they have to come out with some sort of examples for that. But like I said, the first thing that pops in my head is in Division 1, when their global event modifiers were active, it was active for all game modes. So that would be survival, underground, all of it. So I would assume that that's what they're meaning for this season's 2.0, where you jump on your seasonal character and then you could have a seasonal modifier that entire time. That could be really cool. Like all headshots explode, or I don't know, you shock them or some crap. I mean, it could be really cool. It could be. Like, there's some sprinkles of good stuff in here, but overall, I'm just like, really like, you're gonna kill everything. Like, don't do this. The new manhunts, all right? Yeah, I'm almost done with this transcript. So, Manhunts 2.0. A lot of people were getting confused because they were thinking PvP manhunts. This has absolutely nothing to do with PvP. And in fact, all they're doing is they're changing the same thing again, and they're not changing the stupid fucking title. Like, why is it even called a manhunt? It's not a manhunt. And in fact, manhunts in the Division was when you went PvP, you went rogue, and you killed enough people to go manhunt. So I'm not really understanding.
We should have come up with a different title for
Exactly. And that was confusing the PvP people because they were perking up and they're like, what? Because they remember Rogue 2.0. And then they're like, yo, Manhunt 2.0? Like you're changing Manhunt? But they're not. It's just they're reskinning the exact same thing and adding a 2.0 when it shouldn't be. It should just be titled, let me see. It says it right here. It says the Manhunt events with scouts. The Manhunt story will now progress weekly instead of monthly. So every week you'll have a new scout to take care of, leading up to the climax mission. None of this really says Manhunt. I still wish that they would come up with a different title because Manhunt already means something different in the PvP community, and it's in the game. Like if you were to look up, even on Google, Division 2 Manhunt, it would pop up PvP. And it's kind of confusing right there. But what I'm getting at here is the climax mission. So the climax mission is going to come with a twist. The introduction of a new difficulty level called Master. The Master difficulty will be available on top of the existing climax mission difficulties, normal through heroic, providing a challenging gameplay experience tailored for a team of 4. I mean, we've heard that before, and people solo it. So,
yeah.
This is the exact same verbiage that we got from Countdown, if we remember correctly, and people soloed Countdown. We got this from Descent, where they were saying, you want to take a team and take on the Nemesis, and I do it solo all the time. This is, Yannick said the incursion would not be for people with DPS builds, and it's only for team synergy, and there's people that go in there solo or with 2 people and do it with a DPS build. It's just, they keep saying this, but it's just a blanket statement. The climax mission, this is what unlocks the season. So I'm assuming this is going to be like month 3 out of like month 4 of the Manhunt, right? Or of the season. So every season's going to be 4 months long. Month 3 is where you get the climax mission. And then from month 3 to month 4, you can transfer everything over to your main character and do the climax mission on your main character. It sounds cool. It whatever. It sounds like they didn't want to say legendary for some reason. I don't know.
Yeah.
Like why couldn't you just say legendary? We're now going to allow the climax missions to be done on legendary instead of heroic. I mean, they could have just said that, because whenever they do legendary, they change up the gameplay experience for tailored for a team. It's the exact same verbiage for legendary gameplay. It's White Tusk.
On that of same verbiage. I mean, scouts sounds like to me like weekly projects.
Yeah, it does.
Increase the player engagement.
Right. So
Not just have those spikes every 3 or 4 months.
We had that in Division 1. Oh, the HVTs.
You're right. HVT. But with scouts, I think what you're going to see is, because we don't have that HVT network like we did over in Division 1, I think with scouts you're going to see like, go take 5 control points, go finish this mission on, a certain difficulty, go do this, go do that. It's going to be a curated list of things to do, like a checklist, and that's it. Because they're not going to, I don't foresee them adding in new content. There's not going to be a new location. Right. There's not going to be a new mission. It's going to be all repurposed. So it's just going to be curated, a weekly checklist of things to do. And that's going to be your scout, as they say it.
Right. That sucks. That sucks. I don't want to be negative, but you're recycling the exact same thing. You're renaming some of it, but you're not renaming other things.
Giving it a new name.
Right. But yeah,
just putting a new name on something old.
It kind of that gives me the same taste.
Character. Yeah, and somewhere in there, we're taking a seasonal character and we're continuing to level them up, almost like we just started a new hardcore character. We're gear farming, we're weapon farming. We're trying to come up with some sort of build concept, off this hodgepodge of gear that we're getting. We're trying to farm a little bit in there as well. Who knows if targeted loot is going to be active during a season? It's undetermined at this point, because then that way you could really go get a targeted build down pretty quickly. I mean, who knows? Do we even have access to our crafting bench? So we have access to blueprints. I mean, I don't know.
I would assume that
questions.
we would have to buy the things from Anaya, but so hardcore to normal, it's all connected. The only thing that's not connected anymore is the stash. So I'm assuming that with a seasonal character, you would have the expertise, you would have the crafting, you would have the blueprints, but you wouldn't have the stash because it has its own separate stash. But the only way it makes sense is that after the climax mission, they unlock the stash for you to transfer over to your main, because they're separate stashes.
Something, yeah.
They have to explain how at the end of that climax mission, oh hey, now I can put everything on my main guy, because that's all I give a shit about. I am all for...
What am I walking out of this season with?
Yes, I'm all for doing something and leveling up, kind of like what they did with Underground, where Underground had levels in Division 1. You had to level up, you got certain exclusive rewards. It was cool, it was separate, what have you, cool, whatever.
You also unlock new modifiers, remember that?
Yes.
Yep, directives.
Unique, yep. No, dude. And more hunters.
Shock ammo, those kind of things. Yeah.
Yes.
And that's why I brought up hardcore, is that at the end of the climax mission, you have your separate stashes, but they are going to unlock and connect at some point for you to send them over. So I'm assuming that whatever's on your seasonal character at the end of the season, it just disappears. So you only have that last month to send everything over to your main before it's gone. And that's the disconnect to the hardcore, because I highly doubt that they're going to be able to connect the seasonal stash to the normal stash and the hardcore stash. I think that the seasonal character would have to be hardcore for it to send it over to hardcore, and then vice versa.
Okay.
Now, looking at my list, here,
and with crafting too, remember, just let me throw this in. Remember, with crafting, since they've removed gear score, I was thinking well, shoot, if we have to start at 0 or 1, we're not going to have access to our
crafting.
Remember, level 30, level 30 or level 40 blueprints, because we're a baby agent. But if they've taken out gear score, you may have access to that right off the bat. You just wouldn't have any of your.
So here's how they did that. I can already answer. I can. So on a new character, between 30 to 40, you can craft named items, but they show up as purple with no attributes and no talent. So it's just like a placeholder. It's like, oh, I have Fox's Prayer knee pads that are 32, but it's not high end. There's no damage targets out of cover. It just gives you rifle damage from the brand set. That's it.
But are you talking about crafting?
I crafted. Yeah.
Okay, so that's a player that, let's say that they were stuck behind the Wony end game. They couldn't get, up to 40. So now they're making that grind from 30 to 40 outside of Wony. They're doing it in DC. Okay, so now they have access to craft, but it's crap.
Yep.
Higher tier of loot. It doesn't come with any of the perks or talents. Okay.
Not until you hit 40, and then it's like a light switch, and then it's all like, oh, hey, now I have all the godly blueprints. Yep. Yeah, it's crappy like that, but yeah. So that's another thing where the crafting is there for your seasonal character, but it's not going to be there until you're finally at the final level.
Okay.
But you'd have expertise, but then you'd have to waste. Well, no, you would have expertise on your skills.
Expertise on a subpar piece of gear, a Fox's Prayer without a talent.
Well, you have to think about it. Your seasonal character is going to be 75% of your time now because it's going to be 3 out of the 4 months. So now you're going to be spending a majority of your time on a new character. There's so many bad things. I know. All right. So, okay. Oh, dude. They better come out with like a banger of like explanations because,
like I said, they walked in, they made the announcement that CS:GO was going PvE, and then they walked out of the room.
Yeah. All right.
That's.
So here's
This does, before you move on.
yeah. No. What's up?
I did have one thought pop in my head. I was like, what if this kind of creates a new kind of Rogue 29 experience where the seasonal, you take your seasonal character into the DZ and you have a little bit, the PvP could be a little purer because it'll be a lot less about, your gear score,
right.
the level of your gear, because
It goes more about skill.
more on the same level. Yeah, it'd be more about skill.
So going back to
This does raise a question for me. Like, will that, theoretically, that could work, but will that play out? I don't know.
it's going to piss people off because, and I kind of knocked on it a little bit earlier. So there's going to be some people that are the exception, like myself, who has all the blueprints, right? So by the time I hit level 40 on my seasonal character, I can craft Fox's Prayer, Contractors, Picaros, Matador, Zero Fs, and the Hollow Man, okay? I can make an all named item build that's perfectly unbreakable with perfect adrenaline rush and all multiplicative damages. So I can do that right out the rip. Not only that, buddy, but I can craft the shield splinter and have that as my primary weapon. So to the average person,
Now you're talking.
So I agree with you. Yes, it creates the Rogue 29 thing all over again. However, if you are not ready for that in a fight, you're going to have people like me in there that already have a build and they're just hoping you show up, It's going to scare away a lot of people, but it will be a fresh. It will be for sure, because right now everyone's maxed out expertise, and they're hitting you with a, level 26 burn sticky, and you're dying instantly. So I agree with you. It could be cool, but also here's another thing, is that expertise transfers over to all characters. It's account wide. So
That's true.
if I have a, let's just say I just hit level 40 on my seasonal character, all my skills are maxed out, what's stopping me from just throwing on a skill build and just killing you with a level 26 Stinger Hive, without even looking at you? There's a lot of elements, man, because PvP is a very touchy cactus, and it doesn't need a lot of water to survive, but it still needs water, man.
Yeah. I like that analogy.
It still needs it. So here's my last part on this whole seasons thing, and I'll see what you guys think. How, and I'll go into more depth about this later, but how to make this actually work and how to actually execute this in a smart way. And this is the portion why I'm going to DM this to all the devs, and I'm going to say, please watch this. The way to execute this is pretty simple, and it really doesn't take a math whiz to understand this. For content, for the community, and for the game to thrive, is to make it exclusive rewards for the seasonal character only. Once you do that and establish, hey, you can play the season, sure, do your stupid leagues, do your stupid global events, do whatever you want on your hardcore and your main, do whatever you want as advertised. If you want to do the new Manhunt Scouts, you can do the new Manhunt Scouts, cool. But you have no access to the premium reward track. You have no access to any of the new skins. and you have no access to any of the apparel events. The apparel events will be exclusive to your seasonal character, the exclusive items, the exclusive weapon skins, the exclusive whatever the fuck you want to do, put it to the seasonal character. That way your seasonal character acts as your season pass. That way you get all your shit, you get all your exclusive shit, and as soon as that climax mission happens, you can transfer it to your main. That way, if I want to do the apparel event, I can jump over to my seasonal character, do the apparel event, and then I'll have it later or unlock it then and there, what have you. But that gives you the option to, I just want to do the seasonal character on my main character. Like, I just want to do the seasonal stuff on my main. Like, I don't give a shit about any of the exclusive rewards. Like, I know a lot of people out there that have never bought a season pass, that will never buy a season pass or an apparel event, and they just want to play the new content. And that would give you the opportunity. Like, hey guys, we know you love our season pass. We know you love this and this and this. Well, now we're going to make it exclusive to the seasonal character, because then that pushes everyone to the seasonal character for those cool exclusive things. And I think just locking it all behind and then, you can transfer it month 3 out of 4 months, it kills the entire game for PvP, for hardcore, and for veterans, because I'm not going to be making new build videos if I have to make a brand new character every season. It's just not going to work out that way. It's going to be, it's just going to mess up altogether. And I think that's what I would do is I would make the seasonal characters have all the exclusive stuff and all the exclusive rewards and push people to play the seasonal character for that. But then I would also, going back to the PvP part, you have to add fucking leaderboards and rewards and some sort of incentive to play. Like, they switched up the conflict UI to show all of your stats and everything a few years back, and it looks amazing. But that was the last thing they ever did. Like, if you could add leaderboards to that, like weekly and monthly leaderboards to both the Dark Zone and Conflict, would change everything. And then we haven't even talked about clans. Like, are we going to have seasonal clans? There could be clan activities. There could be clan events. There could be clan leaderboards. Like, there are so many parts of the game that are just not touched. We could have clan season levels. Dude, if you leveled up your clan during the season with your seasonal characters, you get exclusive rewards for your clan members. Bro, come on.
Sure.
Like, if this isn't me putting my hat in for like creative lead, I don't know what the fuck. Like, come on. It's slam dunk, dude. I don't see it.
Yeah, I think you do have a lot of great ideas here, and are raising a lot of important points. Because this seasonal character thing, if done wrong, it does feel like just it could kill so much momentum across so many different classes of players.
Right.
Right. From content creators to the casuals. So. There's just so many questions about how exactly how is this all implemented? How is this going to be run? Mm-hmm. I like your idea about kind of making the seasonal characters the season pass. You get your season pass and there's your seasonal character, and it's all locked into that character until the season's over, till you accomplish that, finish that climax mission.
Yep.
I think that could be one way to keep it fair and keep it somewhat consistent, right, until the end. So yeah, I agree with a lot of what you're saying. I'm just kind of sitting back here trying to think, well, can I improve? What might I do to improve that, or what other ideas might I have?
Right. I got you. I'm
You know, as I listen to you, Kami, you know, Jay-Z comes to mind. You know, Massive's got 99 problems. Their seasonal character is all of them. It isn't just one, it's all of them. That is their hurdle.
Yeah.
How do they make that seasonal character resonate, not for the new players that are coming on, the onboarding players that are coming and won't know any difference, but for someone like me, you, like Matt, that have been here since 2016, and we've ground out, you know, multiple thousands of hours. We have our perfected builds, and now we're being told, hey, you're going to put those on hold. You're going to start all over. And I think that's where all of the negative vibes for this new season is coming. How do they incorporate that in? Like you said, how do you make it so you can actually take your main character, the one that you're comfortable with, the one that you've, you know, min-max to the very last degree? How do they incorporate you having the ability to use that character for more than just the last few weeks of a season?
right.
If they can overcome that hurdle, and that is a massive hurdle, no pun intended, but if they can overcome that, then I think they'll win back and get out of, you know, this toxic spew that's flying around right now concerning it, partially created by them, you know, their lack of explanation of everything. You know what I mean? Like
Right.
this is a creation of their own device here. They basically thrown out just little bits of detail, left the community to try and just sort through it and figure it out on their own. And that's created like a lot of this negativity around it. But also that's a massive, massive, massive change to all of a sudden say, hey, everything you've worked for, it's irrelevant. You're starting over.
Mhm.
You know? And that's something we have never seen in the division ever since 2016. So we're going on, 8 years? You've never seen that. And, you know, to come out kind of willy-nilly, if you know what I mean, and just kind of half-heartedly explain it, almost like this is all we have to go on, this is all we're going to give you right now. I think it caused more problems than offered.
Dude, the amount of questions and negative backlash because of the
Lack of communication.
Yes. So my question for both of you, and then we'll talk about the very last blurb of their Ubisoft Forward, because it's laughable. So my last thing about this season's 2.0. What are your predictions? All right. And I will give you mine at the end. So whichever one of you want to go first. So what I'm asking is, Buzz gave us a statistic earlier. I don't know if I'm going to have it in or if it's going to be edited out, what have you. But he basically looked up the Division's post-game, showcase, if you will. And the ratio
The upvotes and down.
of likes to down likes is horrible, but it's also telling that the community did not like what was being told or the way it was being told. So obviously there's going to be a pivot. There has to be. And if not, they have to come up with a good explanation on why they're trying to do this.
Right, because that ratio was, tells you all you know about it right now, what the community is thinking about it.
So do you think they're going to change anything? And if so, well, actually, no. Okay, here, just an easy question. What do you think's going to happen? Do you think they're just going to keep explaining something, or do you think they're going to make some changes?
Matt, you go first.
Okay. I have theories.
Based off of this reaction, because you, dude, all right, here, let me just really quick, 2 statistics really quick, because I still have it on my channel. So I made 2 polls, right? And I made these days apart and days ago. So they've had time to spew. All right. So 4 days ago, I made a poll, and it says, new seasonal characters, master difficulty, and Manhunt 2.0. What are your thoughts? And I gave 3 options. Looks good to me. It could be worse. or nah, what the fuck? What is this all about? This thing has 2,000 views in the last few days, and 56% said, what the fuck is this? 27% said, well, it could be worse. And 18% out of 2,000 said, well, it looks good to me. So what is that? That's 70, that's 80, 83% said it could be worse or what the fuck. So mid to negative response. My next poll only has two options. This one I got a little bit more polarized. I said, okay, well, who's ready for a full breakdown and rant? I was kind of, promoting this in a way. And I said, who wants to know more about Seasons 2.0? And the first option is, nah, I like it and understand it. And the other one was, yes, please explain and prevent all these riots. And that's at 80% out of 1,300. 1,300 people voted, and they're all saying, yes, please explain this and prevent riots. Because a lot of these people, this 80 to 85% mid to negative, a lot of it is just due to not knowing what the hell these people are talking about. And is it going to ruin PvP hardcore? And I have to now start over at level 1.
Yeah.
So with all that being said, all right, so let's put all of that crap into account. This is just an A or B. Do you think they are going to A, just explain a little bit further and try to get people on board? Or do you think they will pivot and try to change something? Because they have until, September. So
3 months is not a lot of time for the extent of these changes to make a lot of to make a major pivot. I could see them changing some verbiage and making it seem like they're pivoting away, but I don't think that they're gonna make any big changes from what they've already announced.
Right. Yeah, I'm with you, man.
But I want on the theory question, I want to address that because this could not necessarily throw a wrench, but kind of put all of this in a different light. I have a strong suspicion about the purpose of these seasonal characters. One of the things we've been saying from early days is that ever since that final message from Keener in Division 1 is that we would be given some kind of choice at some point to go rogue. And especially with a lot of the events from the latest season, I really think that with these seasonal characters, we're going to get that option finally.
Ooh, hold the phone. I think Splinter Shield, I think the Hunter just came up with a hot take. Holy shit.
I have to take.
Dude.
Putting it on the table.
Let me try to digest that one. Holy shit. Okay.
Think about it.
Okay.
Think about it.
So
with Kelso, he's taken, we saw what happened with Keener and Kelso.
Okay.
And the way they framed a bunch of stuff in this latest season where they showed Parnell and Keener both doing objectively good things for survivors of the dollar flu and everything. We heard those audio files where they're genuinely helping people out, showing their good side.
Okay.
And highlighting how especially with the Descent comps, highlighting how easily Isaac can be fooled, or how easily it can think like, oh, no, this person's rogue now, but maybe they haven't really done anything that wrong.
All right, I got it. Hold on, I got it.
Yeah.
All right,
yeah.
Here we go. Dude, they need to just go ahead and send us a check. Just saying, just send it out to the Division Watcher. Just send it to us, please. So here's the thing. I love this, and I'm going to spin off of your idea, and you're going to like it. So imagine this. You have a seasonal character, right? At the beginning of the seasonal character, you have this cutscene, this scenario, and something happens. You have a good guy and a bad guy. You can either choose to side with the good guy, or you can choose to side with the bad guy every single season. And every single season, at the end of that cutscene, you get the option. Are you going to stay Shade? Are you going to go Rogue? Now, your decision changes the seasonal activities for that season. So, say you choose...
I would love that.
Say you choose Shade. Okay, well, you're defending a control point against rogue agents. You're hunting down a high-value target in the underground. Let's say you go to Coney Island to take out the hunter for some sort of challenge for that amusement park mission. These are all like Shade agent type things, like you're taking them out during the season. Or you choose Rogue, and then you could have where you're disrupting a Shade tower, or you're hacking a beacon, or you're, I don't know, you're ambushing a resource, a division agent. So what would then be, defending a control point from rogue agents turns into you go up against division agent during like a resource convoy. So it's the same difficulty, but instead of it saying rogue agent, it would say division agent, and your watch in the brick on your shoulder would then be red for that season because you're rogue. See what I mean? So they could easily then tailor 2 seasons, essentially, just reskin one Shade agent, one rogue. Bada bing, bada boom. You have exclusive content. And for that season, you get to choose, I'm going to be bad this month. Okay. Yeah. Or at the end of the climax, you could then go back and do it the other way. All right.
Yeah.
So you spent 3 months.
These streamers going like, see, not man, going after or uniting with Keen, or a rogue season, or like in their title of their streams, and like this season or something. No. Yeah.
Or at the end of that climax, they give you the opportunity to streamline the entire season as the opposite. And, dude, that would be fun.
Mm-hmm.
God damn it, man. That would be fun. If only we were all in a group where they would listen to such ideas and I wouldn't have to resort to YouTube.
That raises another question, though. What if you're, if it was a rogue and you get into a group with others who have not yet gone rogue?
Oh, well, then you could shoot them. Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely.
No, but I mean, like you have your friends list, and like for that season, you've chosen rogue, and maybe others out. I wonder if you can still group up. Or, I don't know.
Oh no, you wouldn't.
Still possibly some problems with the implementation.
Yeah, that's true.
Ever since they announced it that same day, I was like, I wonder, just because of the stuff that's happened in this latest season, I wonder if this is part of the reason for the seasonal character thing. Because it's a way I could see that. Because in the past, I've always been like, nah, they're not going to do that, because then they have to make the whole game.
Right.
To give us the ability to toggle.
To give us that ability to toggle to rogue or not, and change things up for everybody.
Wow.
Depending on which brand. Wow. But if it's contained to a season, I can see it happening. I can see a possibility of being implemented. So
imagine.
That's why I'm dropping on this discussion right here at the end.
So you're at a control point. Your control point is green, and then you toggle rogue, and all of a sudden your control point's red because you're rogue.
Yeah, possibly.
That
But
could
I
be,
don't think it would be something you would toggle while you're out.
You would pick before the
you would pick from the beginning. You would either
Yeah.
rogue
Right.
or shade at one point, and that's
Very
how it'd be.
So you would have your custom curation of content based on your rogue path versus your shade agent path. So yeah, I would think at that point you would have to squad up with other peoples that were also taking your same track.
yeah, it would have to be two different servers.
Possibly.
Yeah.
Yes, two different servers. Yes. Now, what you could also do,
Wild.
is then have exclusive rewards for one side and the other. And the only way to get the exclusive rewards for the other side is to redo it during that climax period.
Yep.
Dude,
That would be one way to sell seasonal characters and make them make more sense to
imagine,
Yeah.
imagine, dude. I'm about to sell
Way down to the new players.
Yeah.
I'm about to send this to
Get a track.
fucking Julian and sell this, dude. Imagine.
Give people the option to take just a little taste of what the dark side.
All right, so here's the deal, right? Here's the deal. I'm selling it to you. I don't know if you guys have time. You guys have time?
Yeah.
He said 5 more minutes. So
Go for it.
All right, I'm gonna sell you this idea really quick. You start a story, or you start a new season. It zooms into Washington D.C. Keener's there. He's doing some shit, and he looks to you, and he says, "Are you in?" And you either say yes or no. And then right then, you have your two servers. You got your Shade server, you got your Rogue server. Each server, under my pitch earlier, each server would have exclusive content, whatever it is. So it would be rogue agents at control points, hunters in underground, or the other end, it would be division agents at control points, or what have you, high value target at whatever the fuck. Now, you progress through these seasons, either rogue or shade, the entire season, separate servers, either your rogue or your shade, so that you and all your buddies, hey Buzz, you want to join me? Nah, man, I'm shade this season. Huh, what? Lame. Like, I'll be over here with Matt, the rogue server.
Yeah.
Lame.
Come on, man.
You know how cool this is?
Rogue side.
So then you're progressing. You get your exclusive rewards for either being shade the whole season or rogue the whole season. And then as soon as you're done with the climax mission, whatever, you send it over to your main characters, what have you. But then you get the option to just fast track through all the shit as either a shade or a rogue that was opposite. So vice versa. And then that's your 1 month window to get the exclusive rewards from the other side. So that no one's really missing out. It just forces you to do the whole thing twice. So then you're getting player engagement, you're giving them the choice, and you're giving them the option to go back and get all of the rewards. So nothing is truly exclusive. It's
Right.
And it just seems like a home run, man.
Win.
Anyways, all right. So the very last thing was player expansion. And this is gonna
Player expression.
expression. My
Yeah.
bad. Thank you.
I
Now
think they're just going to give us custom cosmetics and
this
patch designs and things.
this thing sounds horrible. So it's a very short thing. So just reading through this, I can already tell it's really bad. So it says later in the year, we're thrilled to introduce an array of enhanced player customization features. So it's just going to be features, something for us in customization. However, it's nothing new. And it says the Division 2 already offers a wide range of options to customize your character. Now, to enhance that experience, we're excited to introduce a streamlined flow. That's it. So then it says this is a new approach to consolidate all custom features into one. So I'm hearing I get to save my outfit with the way my character looks, and I might get a loadout separately, which I already have, and they're just going to make it easier. So then it says it's going to be a new user-friendly interface simplifying the process. So what this says is, hey guys, later in the year, we're excited to give you an updated UI. That's what I'm hearing. Nothing too crazy. So the big meat and potatoes was Seasons 2.0, and we knocked it out. Thank you guys for this. This was a lot of fun. I enjoyed this.
It was a joy.
Nice. Yeah.
No, I had a good time. It's always a good time with you guys.
Talk about Division.
Yeah, me too, man.
Yeah.
Me too. And
Toggle for 3 months. Oh my God, man.
you know how sick that would be, dude?